The law of conservation of mass states that mass is neither destroyed nor created in any ordinary chemical reaction.
Antoine Lavoisier was born to a wealthy family in Paris, and his father was a very successful lawyer. He was thought to be bound to follow in his father's footsteps, and even earned a license to practice law. He soon switched plans and studied geology, then life science in college. He was active in his community and has been noted for doing things such as writing a paper on how to improve the street lighting in Paris. He was also part of Farmers General, which was a private company that collected taxes and tariffs from the government. The leader of Farmers General had a daughter that Antoine took a liking to and ended up marrying soon after.
Antoine was also appointed to the National Gunpowder Commission in Paris and created a laboratory in Paris where he performed his experiments. He was able to afford doing experiments because of the large sum of money his family had to their name. The laboratory became a place for scientists to meet and discuss findings and ideas. Antoine also played a large role in the French Revolution. He served on a committee that dealt with the social conditions of France and suggested tax reforms along the new economic strategies. Antoine served on a committee that investigated the poor quality and conditions of the hospitals and prisons in Paris, then proposed ideas on how to improve them. He also published a report on France's finances during the Revolution. In 1789, he became another deputy and designed a code of instructions for the other deputies to abide by.
Antoine Lavoisier was a French chemist that established the law of conservation of mass in 1789. After this discovery, chemistry of the time was affected in many ways. His findings influenced the work of many other scientists, such as John Dalton and Joseph Prout.
Antoine's first experiment for the law of conservation of mass was a simple yet very enlightening experiment. He remotely lit a candle in an enclosed space, letting the candle burn down. He had measured the mass of the candle in the enclosed space before the experiment, and oddly enough, it was equal to the mass left over in the space after the candle burned down. Known as the father of modern chemistry, Antoine had discovered and demonstrated that there was air responsible for combustion, and it was also the source of acidity. He named one of the elements oxygen. He also discovered that there was an inflammable source that he named hydrogen that combined with oxygen to produce a dew, which appeared to be water.
Overall, Antoine Lavoisier was a very intelligent and successful human being that helped advance chemistry in many ways. We still use a lot of his findings even today.
Joseph Proust was a French chemist who discovered the electron and the law of definite proportions. The law of definite proportions states that the proportion by the masses of two given elements would always remain the same.
The law of definite proportions states that the proportion by the masses of two given elements would always remain the same. With water, for example, it mattered not if it was water found in a lake or clear water. The elemental composition was determined by exact proportions of the elements by mass. This discovery showed that the products of a reaction do not depend on the ratio of the reactions. An example of this law being demonstrated is water always having the ratio of 2 to 1, no matter what the volume of the water sample is.
As a child, John Dalton longed for a further education, but his family was really poor. He even had to help out with the family finances at a young age. He went to a Quaker school and then returned there as a teacher, then went on to be a math teacher at the New College in Manchester. John Dalton was an English chemist, meteorologist, and physicist. He is best known for his help in the development of the atomic theory and his research into colorblindness.
What helped trigger his research in colorblindness was the fact that John Dalton was colorblind himself. He thought that the reason for him confusing scarlet with green and pink with blue was because of his humors and his eyes were blue. He asked that his eyes were examined after his death. During the examination, they found that his humors were perfectly clear. DNA extracted from his preserved eye tissue showed that Dalton lacked the middle wave photopigment of the retina. This discovery helped greatly in the research for colorblind people.
John Dalton developed one of the first useful atomic theories of matter around 1803. He studied meteorology and concluded that water exists in air as an independent gas. He was curious as to how water and air could occupy the same space at the same time. He performed experiments on mixtures of gases to determine which effect properties of the gases had on the properties of the entire mixture. While trying to explain this, Dalton developed the hypothesis that the sizes of the particles that make up gas must be different.